Hi and welcome back to another fault analysis workshop where each week we've been picking a fault and you fill out one of the fault analysis worksheets. It's double-sided, which you can get in the description and the notes below, so you can download that, just go in the notes below. So each week we've been picking a fault and you've been filling out the form. This week going to do a little bit different. This week, rather than give you the fault, I'm going to give you a series of pictures that you need to study, and then from that you identify the fault and then complete the rest of the worksheet. So a little bit different, just to keep things interesting. So the pictures, I'm going to be using my iPad here where I've got a series of pictures which I'm going to show you on the screen and go through those one at a time. So let's just start with the first slide. Okay, so we're heading towards Swaffham and the A47, which is to the right on the sign. So here's another sign. Also look at road markings. As an instructor, worth looking to the right into the carriageway. Just think the benefit of doing that. Now in this slide, just look at the brightly coloured cars, where the blue car with the L. Ignore the other cars in the photo, such as the lorry. Just go with the coloured cars. And that's the final slide. Okay, so just take another look at those. And see if you can identify the fault. So they're the pictures. So have a think about what is the fault there. You could use a DL25, so I'll put one of those up and think, where would that fit? So maybe at this point, pause the video, go back and look at those pictures, have a think, and let's see if you can correctly identify what the fault is. Okay, so we're back. So hopefully you've had a look at the pictures and you've now been able to correctly identify the fault. So referring to the DL25, we're looking in section 23, positioning, normal driving position. So there the learner has picked an inappropriate lane for what they needed to do. So and that is the fault we're going to be analysing now. So it will be a little bit different this week because you would normally identify the fault, or I would normally give you the fault and then you would draw a picture. Well, you don't need to draw any pictures because they've been given to you. All you need to do now is fill in what the fault is, and then we're going to move on to the risk section. So I've got one I've completed here, which I'm just going to go through and share my thoughts on what, and you compare the notes you've got and see where we are, how we compare. So so the risks of this manoeuvre, using the right lane to turn right when there were two lanes available for turning right. So really by doing this, we're encouraging other road users to undertake us, to pass on the near side on the left, which can be very risky, especially for road users such as motorbikes, where they might be in the blind spot of other vehicles. So the blind spot will be far greater on the near side than it would be on the right side. So we're putting other road users at risk by encouraging drivers to undertake us. Also taking the same fault as we develop as we're going down the slip road, we're actually, by picking the right lane, giving ourselves a shorter slip road, making it more difficult to join the dual carriageway. If the people had picked the left lane, they would have a longer slip road, wouldn't they, to join the dual carriageway. So the lane choice that the people made here is kind of put them between a rock and a hard place. They've got vehicles potentially looking to undertake them on the near side, as they're trying to merge with traffic on the right side. So in a very precarious situation, maybe a learner at this point, you know, it's going to be quite risky. So something we'd definitely want to be avoiding that situation, not actually causing actual risk, danger to other road users. So if we now look at the next box, the intervention, so we always want to try and be proactive in these situations rather than reactive. We want to try and prevent rather than have to do an autopsy after the event as to what went wrong and, you know, or the actual dangers that we caused. So let's think about being proactive. So think about directions, the directions you would be giving your pupil at this time. So depending on what you've agreed with your pupil, you could be giving directions in the normal ADI, alert, direct, identify format, or you could be giving your pupil a more independent drive and ask them to follow signs and road markings at this stage. So it depends what you've agreed. Now, in this situation, because the signs that tells you to use both lanes in slide 2, that was the first sign that we knew. If we'd never been down that road before, that's the first time that you realise that you need to use both lanes. Road markings come very late as well. So in that situation, knowing local knowledge, I would be saying to my pupil, if we were doing an independent drive, okay, I'd like you to follow signs to Swaffham and the A47. And on that bridge where slide 1 was, I would be saying, you can use either lane here. By saying you can use either lane gives the pupil a choice, doesn't it? We're kind of giving them a bit of information because information of road markings and signs comes late. So we're just giving them a bit of a heads up that you can here use either lane. So I'd be saying that in that situation. If we go down the reactive route, i.e. that, you know, the pupil's now going for the right lane and we can foresee, we can anticipate these problems happening, I would be saying, look, just stay in this lane. Look, so I would have said, look, you can use either lane here. And if I saw that they were going over to lane 2, I would say, look, just stay in this lane, we can use either lane here, and just repeat that back to help them with that. If, of course, they're going over and they're going to cause danger, there's a car coming up, then it would be physical. I'd be getting the steering wheel or guiding them with the steering wheel to make them stay in this lane so we don't actually cause anyone any danger. Okay, so moving over the page, let's now look at the analysis. Here we're going to look at possible root causes, reasons for why the pupil made this mistake. Now I suggest you do at least 10. So here are mine. I've got a few here. This isn't an exhaustive list. These are just the first ones that come into my mind. So, so from the pupil's point of view, they thought that was the logical choice to make. They've seen the sign for Swaffham. Swaffham's to the right. There's a set of traffic lights. We need to be in the right lane. So they've chose the right lane because that's logical. Okay. Number 2, lack of awareness. Lack of awareness of road markings or signs. Now, we've already said in this picture, road markings and signs come quite late. So maybe as an instructor, we could be helping them with their awareness if this is news to them. Number 3, planning. So, okay, so on to number 3. So the reason I did it is the pupil is planning to overtake slower moving vehicles. Maybe they've seen some cars in lane 1 and they're thinking, oh, they're stationary, the lights are red, I'm gonna check my mirrors and move into the right hand lane and overtake, anticipating the lights might change and just flow through. So they've made a conscious decision to do that. Okay. Number 4, that they're distracted, not concentrating, and therefore ended up made an incorrect lane choice. And we have to think about why they're distracted, what's going on. Maybe they're dwelling on a mistake that they just made on the previous roundabout, and that's distracting them. Maybe the instructor is distracted, and by talking about something not relevant to that situation at that time, talking about a past mistake. So there are times when the instructor just has to say, look, I need to give you a direction, like listen, this, to get the people back, their mind focused. We don't want to be distracting our pupil at this point. Number 5, I've put the pupil could just be overwhelmed, out of their depth. The thought of going on to the dual carriageway might be making them nervous or anxious. Maybe they've had a previous experience where it didn't go so well and they're dreading it, and so they're getting a bit wound up. And once we're in that state, we kind of go into fight, flight, freeze mode. So we're not acting rationally because we just feel out of our depth. So that's just 5. I'm sure you've thought of a lot more. Write them down, because it's all good to think of possible reasons rather than us just jump into the conclusion of why the people did something. We need to really sort of get to the bottom of it. So having lots of possible reasons sort of opens your mind up to why did that happen? Okay, let's move on to the remedial action. So in this section, basically just pick one of your reasons from the previous analysis section, and then we'll think of some remedial action. For this example, I've picked the awareness. Number 2, lack of awareness. So how do I have prevented this? So the pupil wasn't aware that the road markers or signs were going to be doing that. Okay, so how would we prevent this? How would we prevent going down that slip road and being undertaken and kind of being sandwiched between vehicles in the dual carriageways and cars passing us on the left? Yes, we could make more progress down there, granted, but let's think about preventing how we got into that situation in the first place. So let's think preventative measures. So at the start of that lesson, I would be setting a goal, finding out what the pupil needs. Clearly, this would be a need. And setting the goal. So we can talk about, we're going to look at normal driving position, your lane choice, and setting goals. We're going to be following signs and looking at road markings. So it'd be set an agreed goal. Depending on the pupil's knowledge, experience, ability, there'd be some kind of briefing, some kind of explanation using visual aids. Maybe the visual aids we use there, we could use those. To help the pupil sort of get a better understanding of what they're going to be doing, what is expected, what the rules are, what choices they would make. Then we're going to look at, once we've got our briefing, then we'll agree level of instruction. How much help do they need? How much responsibility do they want to take? Do they want to be guided, have some prompting from me? Do they want a full talk through? Do they want to try it independently, and if they go wrong, I'll jump in? So we could get all that agreed initially before we get going, and then of course lots of practice. Go there, do it, have a variety of different road marking signs that's going to challenge your pupil, not over challenge them, but to be the right level, keep them in their comfort zone. So you get lots of practice at looking at road markers or signs in different situations. Maybe pick a route where you've got 4 or 5 sort of bits, and then once they've done that, come back, consolidate, and then maybe go and do that again, but this time hand more responsibility over to your pupil, because now they've seen it, they've kind of had a go, they've learned from it, and they're going to get better at it next time, take more responsibility. So lots of practice. On to the final section, the questions. This is reactive. This is like, what questions would you ask the people afterwards, after that, the fault that we showed you in the picture. So yeah, we need to talk to our pupil, get the car stationary because that was a high risk situation. We don't want to repeat that. They need to fully understand why that was a safety critical incident. So I would talk to my pupil about it, have a conversation, ask them some questions. So at the traffic lights, can you remember which lane you chose? Why did you choose that lane? Did you see any signs, road markings? Right, so knowing that now, what would you do differently? What lane would you pick? Do you understand why you would pick that? Can you name some risks, some possible risks to you or other road users of the choice you make, why that is a problem and why we'd want to avoid it? So we want to get understanding so the pupil fully understands what they did, why they did it, and they know what they should do next time, and know that they're looking for the road markers and signs, and planning ahead, being aware of the situation in good time. So after that, like I say, it would be lots of practice. If they'd made that mistake, would have the questions, would help the people understand, and would get back on the road and give them more practice, agree level of instruction, how much help I'm going to give them, etc. And yeah, and that's what I would do. So that concludes this little workshop. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you did enjoy it, please like, subscribe for future content. If you'd like to leave comments about the faults that you'd like me to cover next, or new ideas for new formats, like something we did a little bit different this week, please leave in the comments and I'll get back to you. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.